Good morning, students. Today we'll be talking about major abiotic factors which affect life of living organisms. In the previous lecture, we have already talked about biomes. So now let us talk about abiotic factors. Now let us talk about major abiotic factors, as I have already told you. And one of the major abiotic factors is temperature. Now temperature is the most ecologically relevant environmental factor. Temperature on land varies seasonally and it decreases from equator to poles. Also decreases from sea to mountain. Now, temperature play a major role in the life of animals as well as plants. The kinetics of living organism depends upon temperature. The metabolism as well as the physiological factors all depends upon the temperature as such. Now, since temperature is so important, it also affects the life of at a particular habitat. The temperature of that particular habitat affects the life forms. For example, you know that in Germany you cannot find elephant or you cannot find polar bears in Kerala. Why it occurs? It occurs because the temperature is a major factor, which because of that temperature as such, because of the temperature as such, the life forms depends on that particular temperature. Okay. Now let us talk about the variation of temperature and the relationship between the latitude and the temperature as such. As you can see on the screen, as we move away from the poles, from the equator, the temperature decreases. You are moving away from the equator and the temperature is decreasing. Again, if we move towards the equator, the temperature will start increasing. So that is the relationship between the temperature and the latitude as such. Now temperature also depends upon the altitude, which I have already told you. See, as we move up altitude, as the altitude increases, the temperature will start decreasing. See here in the figure as such, at about 1000 meters the temperature is 23.5 degrees centigrade, and at about 2000 meters the temperature decreases to about 17 degree. Now as the height is increasing, altitude is increasing, at about 3000 meters you see the temperature is about 10.5 degrees centigrade, and you can see here it is all covered by snow since the altitude is very high. So naturally the temperature is below zero. So now I am showing you what are the factors which affect the temperature. Now one thing more I would like to discuss. In hydrothermal vents as well as hot sulfur springs, the temperature is usually above 100. Even at that particular situation, at that particular condition, living organisms do exist. Now they have adaptability, they adapt to that particular habitat as such. So naturally the temperature affects the life form. Okay. Now this is the picture of hot thermal springs. Here also the temperature is above 100 degree. Now let us talk about certain animals which are called as eurythermal. Now eurythermal are those organisms which can live at wide range of temperature. These organisms include most mammals such as goat, man, cow, sheep, monkeys, and even some birds. Now stereothermal organisms are those organisms which can survive only in limited range of temperature. Now that limited range of temperature is the only temperature in which they can survive. Now apart from mammals and birds which are considered to be warm-blooded organism. Other organisms including reptiles, amphibians, they cannot tolerate, even many fishes, they cannot tolerate wide range of temperature. They cannot survive in them. That is the reason why they are called as stenothermal organisms. Okay. Now let us talk about water. How it is another abiotic factor which affects life. So let us talk about that. Water. Quality and salinity of water affects aquatic forms of life. See, when I talk about quality, then there one thing which is very important. Chemical of that particular water as such, chemical composition, including pH, becomes very important. So that factor also affects the life on in water as such. Moreover, salinity also affects aquatic organism in the water. Now there are places such as inland water where the salinity is only below 5 per thousand parts. Now in case of rivers and lakes, it is something around 30 to 35 parts per thousand. In case of hypersaline lagoons, I show you hypersaline lagoon. This is the picture of hypersaline lagoons. In case of hypersaline lagoons, the salinity is about 100 parts per thousand. So you can see the concentration here is very high, highly concentrated. Presence of salt is very high here. So these are also the places where the organism can survive, but yes, they do have different adaptability. Now let us now talk about another abiotic factors which affect life. See, we have been talking about all the abiotic factors which actually affect life, which affects the life at a particular habitat. We have talked about temperature, which is one of the most important factor. We have talked about water, again an important factor. Now we'll be talking about light, another very important factor. You know, in our earth, about 71% of the total earth is covered by ocean. Now on land, because of light, photosynthesis occur and plant grow and they produce food for herbivores as well as carnivores indirectly. Now in case of very thick forest, the plants which grow under the canopy of taller trees, the light penetration is very limited there, and therefore light affects the growth of that particular plant. जो प्लांट एकदम नीचे हो रहा है, ज़मीन पे उग रहा है और उसके ऊपर बड़े बड़े पेड़ हैं और नीचे तक सनलाइट नहीं पहुंच पा रही है, तो सनलाइट एक बहुत बड़ा फैक्टर हो जाता है प्लांट के ग्रोथ के लिए. हो सकता है उसकी ग्रोथ रुक जाए, तो लाइट इसलिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. ड्यूरेशन एज वेल एज इंटेंसिटी ऑफ लाइट, बोथ आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, देयर आर सर्टेन प्लांट्स which depend upon duration as well as intensity for flowering. And you know, in case of angiosperm, which are called as flowering plants, flowering represents the stage of reproduction, from where the reproduction will start. Especially I am talking about sexual reproduction. So naturally light also controls this reproduction. Now light also controls migration of animals from one places to another place. It also controls foraging pattern. Foraging आप जानते हो, सर्च फॉर फूड, उसको हम बोलते हैं foraging. बहुत सिंपल वर्ड है, नहीं समझ में आता. एनसीईआरटी में कई जगह लिखा हुआ है foraging. It is just simple, in simple word it is called as search for food. खाना खोजने के लिए जो एनिमल्स बाहर निकलते हैं, वो भी लाइट डिपेंडेंट फैक्टर है बहुत सारे एनिमल्स के लिए. कई सारे एनिमल्स नॉकटर्नल होते हैं, दिन में नहीं निकलते, रात में निकलते हैं. क्यों? क्योंकि वो डेजर्ट एरिया में टेम्परेचर बहुत हाई होता है, और अगर डेजर्ट एरिया में वो दिन में निकलेंगे तो पानी की कमी की वजह से उनकी डेथ हो जाएगी। डेजर्ट में पानी अवेलेबल नहीं होता, आपको पता है। सो लाइट इस सब चीज़ों के लिए इम्पॉर्टेंट है। वन मोर थिंग आई विल लाइक टू टेल यू, beneath the 500 meters inside the ocean there is perpetual darkness. कुछ भी नहीं होता वहाँ पे, light cannot enter more than 500 meters in the ocean, and therefore photosynthesis is generally cannot be possible in that depth. यही वजह है टोटल आउटपुट, हालांकि टोटल एरिया जो है वो ओशन का बहुत ज़्यादा है, लेकिन उसका टोटल प्रोडक्शन जो होता है, जो प्लांट का प्रोडक्शन होता है, वो कंपैरेटिवली कम होता है एज़ कंपेयर टू लैंड पे जो प्लांट्स होते हैं। वजह क्या है? 500 मीटर्स के नीचे देयर इज परपेचुअल डार्कनेस एंड देयरफॉर द फोटोसिंथेसिस कैनॉट बी परफॉर्म्ड। मेरी बात आपको समझ में आ रही होगी। ओके, नाउ लेट अस टॉक अबाउट सॉइल, अगेन अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर which affects life on earth. You can see here three types of soil: sandy soil, loamy soil and clay soil. And that, because of that, it affects the distribution of vegetation, type of soil. Not only type, यहाँ पे तो आप देख रहे हो particles के हिसाब से sandy, loamy, clay, but also amount of humus present in it is very important. Moreover, texture of soil, size of soil, water holding capacity, pH of the soil, topography of the place, these are also various factors which affect living organism, or you can say vegetation cover on the soil as such, and indirectly fauna also depends on them. So just by observing the flora and fauna present at a given location, you can imagine the quality of soil which is located in that particular area. आपको मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है क्या कह रहे हैं? Okay, now let us talk about the homework as such. What are the abiotic factors which affect life on earth? वो आपको बताने हमने ऑलरेडी बताया हुआ है। Explain briefly how temperature affects distribution of organism, वो बताया हुआ है। Give example of eurythermal and stenothermal animals, आपको ऑलरेडी हमने बताया हुआ। और थोड़ा सा आप देखोगे भी स्टीनोथर्मल के बारे में, खास तौर से देखिए यूरीथर्मल का मतलब होता है जो वाइड रेंज ऑफ टेम्परेचर पे सर्वाइव कर सकते हैं, जैसे डॉग, कैट, ह्यूमन बींग्स। स्टीनोथर्मल मोस्टली रेप्टाइल्स हैं या फिर इनवर्टिब्रेट्स हैं, उनको हम स्टीनोथर्मल एनिमल्स करेंगे, जो एक लो रेंज ऑफ टेम्परेचर में सर्वाइव कर सकते हो। रेंज उनका बहुत लिमिटेड होता है। आई होप यू अंडरस्टूड दिस टॉपिक। थैंक यू, हैव अ नाइस डे।